Hi guys, my name is Annie G and I'm here to restore your faith in humanity. Did you know there are more volunteer firefighters in New Zealand than paid career firefighters? That's crazy to me, and once I heard that, I knew I had to find out more. Me and my burning questions headed on down to the Tauranga Fire Station, where I had to find out everything I could about our volunteers, our heroes, our local legends, and what it takes to become a volunteer firefighter. I'm here at the Tauranga Fire Station where I'm about to witness what goes on behind the scenes at the Volunteer Firefighter training. It's Tuesday, it's 7 p.m, which is always when the volunteer firefighters do their training, and I want to know more about it. To tell me more about it, I'm here with Carl, our station officer here in Tauranga, and we're going to find out what's going on behind us with our volunteer firefighters.
So every Tuesday night at 7 p.m, we come in for training. We start off with a muster or lineup for parade. So this is what the guys are about to start to do now.
So Carl's going to take us in a little bit closer. We can have a look at what's going on behind us.
Yep, sure. Yeah.
Let's go. We need to be quiet so that we don't interrupt them.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
So Carl, our volunteers here in Tauranga have just completed their parade. What's next?
So now they've been paraded and they've been put into crews onto a couple of different appliances that we've got here. So now they're going to go in those crews out and start doing some training.
So I'm here with Kyle, who is one of the senior firefighters here in Tauranga, and he's going to show me all the cool stuff about the truck.
This is our iPad, you could say. It allows the communication centre to give us information about where we're going. This big box here is how we really control our lights and sirens, as well as for us to talk to our communication centre. Now that we're finished in the front, let's go see the rest of the truck.
Yes.
So the driver is also a pump operator. I know it looks scary, there's heaps of dials and buttons. What essentially it's there for is we're taking water from either a hydrant or a pool, depending on what our boss has told us, and we're sending water to the fire. That's all we're doing. Now what we're going to do, we're going to pass you on to qualified firefighter Marco to show you around the rest of the appliance.
Sounds good. So I'm meeting Marco, who is one of our qualified firefighters, and Marco has kindly offered to show me around the truck so that we can see what goes on behind these panels. Marco.
Sure. I'll get straight into it. So we've got our first lock over here. So this is pretty much all. I know it looks quite daunting, but it's not really. We've got our flaked hoses over here, which gets us to the job, gets us to work pretty quickly. We've got our first aid kit over here, so this is all our medical aid calls. Medical calls. Get that back in. And then over here we've got basically our pump kits. So this is how we try and get water to the truck. Or if we do get to sites that are flooded, how we try and get water away from those sites. On very fitting that it says rescue.
Yeah.
So in the second locker, generally at every job, if we go to a house fire, we need breaking and entry tools. That's what you'll carry. So we've got our Halligan tool and just some other breaking and entry tools over there. So as you can see, it extends far to the back. So what the intention of this is to try and get water to the truck over greater distances. There's not always a hydrant close by. So we're not always able to access it in an instant. So we'll drop as many lengths as possible to try and maximize the distance that we can collect water from. Also then got our extinguishers, basic fire extinguishers for when we do get to those kitchen fires and you do get us tackle a stove without needing to access all the big equipment on the truck.
Thank you so much, Marco, for showing us around the truck, how it all works, what's inside behind all the panels. Now it's time for me to go and find out what else our volunteers are doing for their training night on this Tuesday. All right, I found something interesting over here, so let's go and interrupt this one. We'll see what's happening. Hi.
Hey.
How you going? I'm Annie.
James.
James, nice to meet you. James, you are a senior firefighter here at the Tauranga branch.
Correct.
What are you up to?
Well, this is our ISV, or Incident Support Vehicle, and it contains a whole bunch of specialist equipment for higher level jobs. So we often get tipped out to police jobs, a serious crash, and heavy rescue jobs, or if we need big foam or big rescue equipment, this truck will be accompanying the
Tell
big
me a little
jobs.
bit about what's inside.
Well, right here you see some great big lights. These stick up on big masts, go about 8 metres in the air. So they effectively replace any street lighting, and we use these a lot, hence why they're right here at the door. And then further down, all the different pods. We've got 6 different pods in here. Each pod will have a different set of equipment. So we've got a lighting pod with more lights. We've got a BA pod. We've got a foam pod. We've got a heavy rescue pod. Each of these pods we can bring out to the job that we need it to assist with more gear.
Well, thank you, James, for showing me all about the ISV. I'm going to go find out what else is going on in here, so I'll let you carry on.
Thank you.
Thanks. Right next to the ISV, I have found Nate, and he's going to show us a little bit more about what's behind us. Nate is one of the senior firefighters here. And Nate, what's going on?
Yeah, so this is our hose layer vehicle, which carries 2 kilometres of our 125mm hose.
2 kilometres.
2 kilometres, so we can go a fair distance with that. And then we also have 800 metres of our 90mm hose flaked up the top. So this truck is all about getting water to the fire. So if we've got an incident that might be, you know, a kilometre or 2 away from a hydrant or a big fire that needs a lot of water, then we've got this truck that we can bring water in and supply water to all the trucks on the fire ground. So it really is a specialised vehicle that doesn't get out too often, but when it does get out, it's often being used to bring that big water in for the big jobs.
That is pretty cool. Is this 2 Ks of hose connected? Are they connecting parts that you make it all up, or is it one big long
So it's all
thing?
connected in the back here, so we have the end there which we just pull out, and then the truck takes off at about 10 kilometres an hour, and the hose will just flake out behind it. So nice and quick to get to work. So yeah, all connected up. Easy to get out, not so easy to put back in.
Thank you, Nate, so much for showing me around the hose truck. I have got so much more to discover here on the Volunteer Training Firefighter Night. So I'm going to go. Thanks for that. So next up for our training night, what's involved, Carl?
So next up is a scenario-based training based on a person's reported house fire. So our crews are going to train for that this week. So we do different sorts of training every week.
There's a bit of action going on. Carl, tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so right now we're just being called at pages going off for a house fire. So you're going to see our crews be jumping in. We've got a duty crew on tonight. They're going to be jumping into their appliance, getting into their gear and going off to a job. The guys are getting into their level 2 structural firefighting gear, and they need to be fully dressed in that gear before they can get onto the appliance.
And they knew exactly which side of the appliance to get into. They weren't fluffing around with which side to go on.
No, they all know their positions.
Yeah. So Carl, that house fire call out is done and dusted. Everybody is safe and accounted for. We're back to training night here in Tauranga. What are we witnessing now?
Okay, yes, so that job's all done. So now we're into our training scenario of a house fire. So we have our appliance parked on the road. We have some guys that are donning their breathing apparatus. And they're going to end up going into this building over here for a search and rescue scenario. Okay, so you can see now our officer, he's wearing the red helmet there. He's coming up first of all to do what we call a 360, find out what's going on and see everything around the building. And then he will task his crew. So now he is tasking his crew to make entry into the building with a delivery with one of our high pressure hoses. So they're going to go in and do a snap rescue because the officer has seen a person just around the other side of the building through the window. So he's tasked the 2 firefighters to go in and retrieve that person and bring them out. Right, so they've located their patient and they've safely extracted them from the building. So now they'll hand them over to either some other firefighters with first aid or to, if they're already here, St John's ambulance.
So another interesting part to our night here of training at the Tauranga Fire Station is we've just found some guys with hazmat suits. So part of the crew are all suited up. Carl, tell me about what these guys are up to.
Okay, so these guys are now training for a hazmat scenario where they need to go in and identify chemicals. So they're all in these what we call level 3 splash suits, and with their BA cylinders on the back. So now they need to go in and try and identify what chemical or chemicals has been spilled or is in the vicinity. So they can't or shouldn't go in and touch any of the chemical or walk through the chemical, but they need to try and write in a small container if they can and get as much information bring back out to relay to the officer on scene. So we don't know how we can deal with a chemical to make it safe or to stop it from spreading
Until you know what it
until
is.
we know what it is. Because if we go in and put water on something that will react with water, makes things a whole lot worse.
A whole lot worse. So that brings to a close our training night here behind the scenes at the Tauranga Fire Station. And I want to thank you, Carl, so much, one of the station officers here. You have been incredible, showing us all around behind the scenes. It's so important to understand what goes on and what's really involved in becoming a volunteer firefighter. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie, and thanks for coming along and doing this video for us.
If you or anybody you know would like to become a volunteer firefighter, then please check out all the details. We've got them for you below. We'll see you soon.
A time for me that I think back to quite often, the part that I love about being a firefighter, is once a year we do our annual food bank drive, which is where all of the emergency services in our area, from fire service to the police, the ambulance, we all get together and we'll walk the streets and collect cans for the Christmas food drive. The coolest part about that for me is when little kids come running out of houses with bags of cans and food to give everyone, and they just love seeing us all.
One of the things that I guess that surprised me or that I like about the fire service is every time the pager goes off, you never quite know what you're going to be responding to. The information that comes through from the public generally is not always accurate or a clear picture of what you're actually responding to. So until you pull up at the job and your boots hit the ground, you don't actually know what you're dealing with. So you do get quite a good adrenaline kick out of not knowing what's going to happen when you show up to the pager going off.
So probably the biggest thing that the public of Tauranga don't realise is that's actually volunteer firefighters in Tauranga at all 3 of our stations. We have 3, Greton, Tauranga and Mount Maunganui. What I really like is just the whole family vibe about what we do. We get on really well as a crew together. The camaraderie is great.